All right. This is the weekly small business and goal setting digital marketing series. My name is Maria Barakat. A few housekeeping items. I record the session and I'll let you know where the recording is. All of you are on mute, which is why I've pointed out the box in order to keep it to 30 minutes. If you have questions, just email me. I'm really good about getting back to people and letting you know. And I will post this on YouTube. So for those of you that are new, hello and welcome. My name is Maria Barakat. I'm a social media trainer and consultant, and I work with small businesses. I actually teach digital marketing and digital literacy because it's so important today in business to help our customers in their journey and in doing that content part. So today's topic is really important to me because it's so critical. And it's one of those things that small business people roll their eyes and they think that they don't need. But we all do need them. And there is various ways that you can incorporate it. So, and it's a huge topic. So today I'm just going to touch on the really critical things. And in the weeks ahead, I am going to delve deeper into various topics. So for those of you that are on, your feedback would be really good, what you need to know. I mean, we're certainly not going to solve everything, but every kind of business can do some kind of an event. So that's my goal here today. So our agenda, why they matter. The basics, kind of, we're going to do an overview. We're going to really talk about what goals you need to do them, the types of events, that's a pretty simple thing, setting up tips, and then very critically, what not to do. So, and in my estimation, this is what a lot of people do. So let's jump in and get started. Why do events matter to your business? And this is a really simple concept that I talk about every single week. You're trying to connect with your customers and you're trying to build relationships with them. You're trying to do it in person and you're trying to do it online. We all have that. No matter, even dentists have online, relationships with their customers. So you have to think about how you're going to improve that communication and how you're going to offer them value, because there's so much choice out there. Every single one of us has so many competitors, right? Competitors around the world, competitors up the street, competitors. So you're just trying to give them another way to communicate and to build that strong relationship. And events are one really easy way to do it. It doesn't have to be huge. This is a chart. Everyone who's been on here knows this is my thing, right? Your buyer's journey. Events allow you to make new people aware of you. It allows you to give them trust and information about who you are and what you offer. It gives people that don't know you, that now know you, ability to make a decision to say, hey, I want to work with this person or not. And for your existing customers, and there are so many statistics, it is 3 times more expensive to get a new customer than it is to keep an old customer. Even in an industry where you're selling a lot of products and people have lots and lots of products, that person can refer you to someone who's almost like an existing customer. But you have to enhance the experience of the people that already know you, right? Because you want them to do the advocacy part. Events are a very easy way to do it. The problem with them is they take time, and that's what a lot of business people don't have. But I'm going to show you some tips. Let's start with goals, because you never want to do an event without goals. First goal, there's 4. Branding and awareness. So you need to know who you are and what your brand promises. If you don't have that written down, you need to get off and go and do it, because you have to know the purpose of what you're doing, right? So Nike sells tennis shoes, athletic wear, right? Or Converse. But is that their brand promise? No. Their brand promise has to do with motivation. What's going to get you up and put those shoes on and get out there and run a marathon or just be healthy or walk? So they have a brand promise, as do you and as do I. So you have to think about that. So you never want to do an event that's not within your brand promise. How is that event going to impact that? because you're trying to offer your customers valuable things about you and who you are and what you do. So you have to look at an event. If somebody says, hey, let's do this thing, and you can't find any relationship to it, having a concert in your business place, maybe it would entertain your people. But if it's a rap group and your customers are in their 60s, there's a disconnect there. So you have to really sit down and think about that. And then with so much choice, right? You have to be crystal clear on who you are and why you're worth the time. And every event that you do, from large to small, you need to really be clear as to who you are and what you're offering people. And if you're genuine and you offer that, people will attend. And that's a big problem with events. You're distinguishing yourself. You're saying, hey, nobody does this. And I could fill you up with statistics at how few businesses actually do events, any kind of an event. You need to be different. And this is the easiest way to do that. It's a way for you to set out, hey, this is who we are. This is what we believe. Now you're aware of us. The second goal is lead generation. So this is the obvious one. People want to sell things, right? So they say, oh, we'll have an event and people come and buy a bunch of stuff. Okay. Not always true. If you're offering your audience a true experience, because an event is an experience, right? It's something we're going to feel and learn and do. You're going to attract new people. Because if that experience is something that's fun and genuine, there are going to be people that say, hey, I always thought about that. I was wondering about that, right? So attending a concert and you're selling dish plates, maybe there's a little disconnect there. But offering something within that concert where people can say, oh, so I'm getting entertained and this, it becomes something that you can work together with. And your current customers, if they find what you're doing relevant and new, they're going to bring people to you. That's just the bottom line. Because we want our friends, our colleagues to know how smart we are, right? Everybody wants to work with your person, right? We're out there, we're doing research, we're having an experience, and we want other people to have that good experience. And so this is a very important thing. So people always think about lead generation, but they're forgetting that their existing customers are a great source of new customers. Event planning is also very misunderstood. So you have to be careful with this lead generation. You have to evaluate all the people that you're attending. So I have seen businesses do events that seem like they could generate the leads, but they're attracting the wrong customer base, right? You have to think about your mission, your goal, who you want. You have to evaluate every single person that attends, because not everybody that attends your events are people that are going to be potential clients, but you have to sort of categorize people. So when you bring children into your business, obviously they're not going to buy stuff, but you're evaluating those children because hopefully their parents are there. And who are those parents? Are they somebody that could buy your product? Are they now becoming aware that you exist and you are helping their child to do something, and it opens that door? So you have to think about that. The other thing is, in lead generation, you have to reach out to people as soon as possible. This is something we'll talk about at the very end, but a lot of people forget about that. And you have to be crystal clear on who you are and who you're focused on. So it's important. Third thing is customer engagement. So not everybody is going to learn about you in the same way, right? You want to engage all of your customers. So here's a diverse picture of people. So the gentleman who's 60 is going to learn very differently than the person who's 20, then 30, then 40. Yeah, we want everybody to buy our products and services, but perhaps not everybody is your customer, but can they lead you to your customer? So customer engagement is important. You have to think about who it is you're trying to help. So sometimes your customer may be the gentleman here, but you can engage his employees or his staff or his family or whatever it is that you do for a living. You have to think about how it is that you are engaging your audience. You have to leave them so that they are giving you reviews and promoting things. They want to believe in you, and they want you to give them, different things. Events are all about them and not about you. And I think that's the biggest misconception that I see. People host events, participate in events, plan events, and they don't realize that it's not about you. It's about them, which is why you have to plan and we have to go through all of those steps, because you don't want people to get frustrated. It'll backfire. The final goal of an event, and I feel the most important one, is education. We are here to teach our customers something. We want them to know more about what we do. This isn't the way that it was 20 years ago, where you kept all your knowledge in your head and then you got clients and you gave it to them for money. You're giving away your knowledge all the time, because the more you give away, the more people you attract. This is the world that we live in. You could offer them your expertise. You have to know what that expertise is, right? In order for them to find you, in order for them to trust you, in order for them to refer people to you, they want to know that you're the best at what you do. And the only way they're going to know that is if you talk about what you do, right? How can you make an event fun and engaging? So you don't want to just have a 4-hour lecture where people are snoozing in the back. They're not going to show up. You can have free and paid events. You can offer them whatever it is that you do. Even a dentist can have some kind of an event where he can show parents how to teach their children to floss their teeth, right? It's something they can do. They can do it online or offline. It gives people an opportunity. You're an expert. So you want to be that thought leader. So thought leadership is another thing I talk about a lot. This is the world that we live in. We live in a digital world. We're trying to cipher through all the data and all the materials, and we're trying to be experts in something. And this is a very divisive world that we live in. Everybody has a lane. You're this or you're this, you're that or you're this. It's just the way that it is. So offering people an education through an event is a really great way to grow your business. So types of events are pretty simple. There's two. There's online, right? So this webinar is an online event, right? I'm educating you on something I know a lot about. I know so much about it that I feel like I just want to do these every single week. They're hugely important to me as someone who knows a lot about this. And it's very important to the people that listen. Are everybody that listens, my client? Nope. That's not my goal. Well, it's part of a goal, but it's not the one goal. Some people can also do live stream on Facebook. I don't do that. But if your audience is there and they like that, that's another way that you can go online. So you kind of need to know who your audience is and where they are, and then you can meet their needs. So online events are a very wonderful way to reach out. So not everybody wants to do a webinar, but you could do some kind of a presentation online and offer information online that would be considered an event that could educate your customers. And there's many ways that you could do that. Offline events are the most obvious, right? So what if you were to contact local businesses who need your services and say, can I do a lunch and learn? And you bring in lunch, and then you give a 45-minute presentation. You're feeding them. Sometimes that's better than buying an ad, because you're meeting people and you're networking in your community. This is actually an event. Inviting parents into your business and offering their children something. I'm huge into this, especially for retailers. There's very few retailers out there who can't benefit from that, but it scares them to death because children have dirty hands and they touch things and they get scared. There's a way to do it, but parents are a huge consumer in our society, and they don't have a lot of time. So bring their children into it, but it has to be a relevant event. You can't just, have a clown in your business. It has to be something related to what you do, some kind of activity that you can do. Restaurants do this all the time. They do little mini cooking classes, and parents come in and they look around, they say, I like this place. Maybe we'll come back and have dinner. It works. Doing a demo in your business. What is it that you do? Maybe there's a product that people have a hard time understanding. What if you did demos once a month and you offered that? How do realtors sell houses? Do you think they sell houses with pictures online all the time? I'm not going to buy a house unless I can walk through it. So they do open houses. That's basically what you're doing in your business. You can offer a low cost class. If some businesses, there is a cost to do certain things. It depends if you're making furniture. I don't know what it is that you're doing. You can offer a low cost class and people will come in. I have learned about a lot of markets and restaurants in that way where I pay a small fee and I learn how to cook, vegan something, and I'm being exposed to something that I didn't know before. It's worth the money to go. Events do not have to be large. They don't have to be conferences. They don't have to be concerts. They don't have to be these huge things where you're renting a hotel lobby. It can be something small within your business, at a local library, the lunch and learn idea. You just need to really think out of the box and think about different ways that you can do it. So I'm going to give you an example about community events. I live in Seal Beach, California. It's an adorable little town. We have a main street. I don't even think it's a quarter mile long. And every summer, they do a summer concert series, as do most of the beach towns here in Southern California. And every summer they do this, they promote it. It's done by the chamber. The chamber promotes this event. And there's all of these businesses on Main Street, right? So over 1,000 people attend almost every single concert. Now, I don't attend all of them because I don't like all of them, but I do attend. And they go and they save their seats and they sit. And it's a really fun time. Right? So it's from 6, I think, to 8 at night. But Main Street has a big problem. So here is a Google map, and I wanted all the restaurants on Main Street. So from Pacific Coast Highway to Ocean Avenue, very small. I'm telling you, it's not even a quarter mile. There are 19, I counted 19 restaurants / cafes. I'm not even including the bars. So there's some that aren't even listed on here, like the little taco stand and stuff. So our concert starts at 6 p.m. and they play. They're right here on the water. There's 2 sides. It's a big grassy area. And so 1,000 people come in, right? Not one business has a sign for a dinner concert special. Not one. The deli sandwich shop, my absolute favorite place, phenomenal deli, they close at 6. They close at 6 every night. I asked him once, why do you close at 6? Because that's when I close, right? So just when this thing's getting going, the most obvious business on the whole street is closed. And how hard would it be for one business to offer a concert dinner special, right? I priced this out once, and these boxes are so inexpensive. You can order tape with your own business name on it, and you can promote it. You can have, those little tent signs out on the front, because everybody has to walk down the street to get to the concert, right? Because you have to park somewhere else. So maybe first week you don't do it. Second week you order it, right? Never forget that your business exists to serve the needs and wants of your customers. So community events are very difficult because businesses will say to me, well, that, it's something the chamber does, or it's the city does this event. It's not really related to my event. You're getting free people to come. You could have someone stand on the corner. It's a way for you to serve those customers with your business, right? If you meet their needs, they will reward you. They will buy from you, they'll give you reviews and referrals, and they will be loyal to you. It's important to think about that. So let's talk about the setting up, because there is a process. The very first thing is you need to be realistic in your goals and expectations of the event, right? So if you offered that box dinner special, so if Angelo's Market offered that, what's their primary goal as a business? So this is a community event. It's given by the chamber. Maybe they belong to the chamber. Maybe they don't belong to the chamber, but it doesn't matter. So what is the benefit and the drawback to doing this? Well, you would think that it's to sell more stuff, right? But that's your number 2 goal. Your number 1 goal is to get contact information from people, right? Do an online thing, get their emails. Why is that so important? I talk about emails all the time because you want to sell throughout the whole year. You can be announcing the next concert. You can be offering. You don't have to do anything for sale. You don't have to discount, but you do have to communicate with people that you have something. So selling more is a goal, but it shouldn't be your primary goal. Your primary goal is to get emails, because that's the gold. Events, whether they're community or whether you do them, are about communicating with people and building relationships with people. It's not something, you're not going to make $1 million in one event. It's a penny that doubles over and over again. It's a very good way to communicate and to build relationships. So you have to have a strong theme, and it has to be creative. This is not a world where you can just slide by. You have to thoughtfully think about what it is you're going to do for this event. And all of the material has to be designed. It has to matter, right? You need to set yourself apart from all of the other events in town, right? So there's concerts all along the beachfront, but they do a very good job of promoting it. They always have a consistent theme. It's designed well, it's readable, it's legible. You want to think out of the box, right? So this event is something they do all the time. Swag, right? You hear about people that go to the Academy Awards and they walk away with goodie bags. So on the Seal Beach concert, you can't really do that. But believe it or not, the Chamber does do it, because they offer things on their table for people to walk away with their name on it. So every event that you do should have something you're giving people for free just because they showed up, because that's really important. And this is my big beef. Using last year's stuff is just a way of saying that you're not that important to us. We're going to just, skate by. You have to try something new for events that you do over and over again. And the argument is, well, this is our annual Christmas event, and we do it this way every year. And how many times can you have a Christmas tree? Lots of different ways, lots of different colorful themes. But you got to plan it out. You have to really think about it. You have to see what the trends are. Set yourself apart from what you did the year before and the year before and the year before. Why? Because we crave new stuff. I don't want to eat Thai food every single night. I love it, but it's the same old thing. That's why restaurants even have a business, because we want variety. We want things that are new. We want things that are relevant, that are trendy, that are popular. And we always want things that are designed well. This is the world that we live in. Events need to have multi-touch points. This is touch point, means anywhere where your potential attendees could touch, right? How are they hearing about you? You have to email people. You have to use social media, and you have to have PR. So maybe you're doing the radio. Maybe you're paying for radio. Maybe you are doing something in the newspaper. It doesn't matter, but you have to have multiple. You can't just do one thing and expect that to work. There's print and there's online, and these are huge markets, and I can break that down for you. But more importantly, you got to think about your customers. Not everyone connects in the same way. Some people don't read their email ever. Some people don't check their phone voicemail. Some people are never on Facebook. They're only on Twitter. Some people only read the newspaper. Still, you have to think about who it is you're trying to attract and imagine where that person gets their information, how they get their information. It doesn't matter if they're 15 or 50, right? You might have to learn new things. So you might have to teach your people how to use Facebook advertising or Google advertising or something like that. You're going to have to learn how to do things. Even postcards and posters that need to be designed well, you send it to the printer. Well, the printer's a printer. Is the printer a graphic designer? Not always. So little things can make a huge difference. You also have to plan and think about where your audience is. So I'm going to give you some insight into the social world. I mean, I think we can all agree that social media is huge. a problem that I have is when people say, oh, I got to get on Twitter. I've got to do this on Twitter. There's 320 million active users on Twitter. Well, wow, that's great. Then we got to be there, right? So we want to get there. There's only 1.5 billion on Facebook. Which one? It doesn't matter that they have a billion and they have a million. The question is, where is your audience? Where are the people that want and need your products and services? So you need to be where they are, not where you want to be or where you're used to being, right? You have to look into other things to determine that. So your goal is to get the best reach. You want to introduce this event to the most people. You want to introduce your business to the most people. But you have to think about what it is that they're clicking. And not everybody's going to click the same things, right? So you have to really look at that. So here's some information about social networks that I will send out to everyone if they're interested in it. I think we kind of know what the numbers are, but the really important thing is, who are your customers, right? So education and income are only important if you're selling products and services that impact that, right? So if you're trying to get people to go to college, maybe the education level would be that, maybe the age range. I like looking at this number because people say to me, oh, Facebook, only 10% of the people see my stuff. And, I heard this and I read this in the news and yada, yada, yada. Well, it's still the biggest platform for most of our customers. So from 30 to 65, most of those people are still using Facebook in some way. Maybe not organically. You might have to put some money into it and run some ads, but it's still a very important thing. And if you look at these other numbers, they're pretty popular too. So it just depends what it is you are offering people and whether or not they're there. And I would strongly suggest that you not try to go with everybody. You try to target the people that really are your good customers and find them. So Instagram, so 25% are 30 to 49. So you have to decide, mainly women and men, what's the purpose of Instagram? Maybe I could do something on Facebook and Instagram. Maybe you really want to target professionals, right? 30% are 50 to 64. These are decision makers. But if you're selling giftware, is that really the audience you want to put your time into? Then there's the other two, Pinterest and Snapchat. I happen to like Pinterest. I think almost every business can benefit from Pinterest. It just depends. 42% of the people are women. Now, men are growing at a fast rate. And actually, the ones that are growing are the younger men. So 34% are 18 to 29. And that fastest growing group is from the men, from the young men, because they find it easy to navigate. So you have to sort of think about whether or not you need to be there. Do you have the budget to have somebody help you to manage that account and to use it in the best way possible? If you've gotten leads from there, then of course you're going to want to advertise in there. And Snapchat. So, Snapchat. They're under 25. So unless you're selling a product and service that really appeals to young people, then don't even bother with it. But if this is your market, then you need to hire somebody who understands it. I wouldn't be that person. I know how to use it. I have children and they use it, but it's not a place where even my customers are. So you have to really think about where you want to be. Know who you are trying to reach and reach out and find them where they are, not where you are. I can't stress this enough. People will say to me, well, I don't have time for Pinterest. I don't know Pinterest. I don't know Twitter. I don't know this. I'm never on Facebook. Well, you better get on Facebook, because this is where people get information and where they become aware of you. It's where they're looking for advice and information. So you have to think about that. The other thing in the planning is that social media and events all take time. So it can't happen tomorrow for next week, right? 6 months is the minimum. You actually should prepare your year in advance, and you should know, oh, we do a spring and a winter event, or we have this or this, or maybe Christmas is your big time, or Easter or Mother's Day. I don't know what your business is, but you can actually sit down and look a year in advance, and you have to focus on events at least 6 months in advance. Why? Because you need 1 month of time, 30 days, to just create an idea for it. So if it's your annual concert series, is the chamber looking at that a few months before? No, they're planning it out. They're saying, what are we going to do different? People like this band, people didn't like this band. We did this, they didn't like that. You have to have creation time. This is where you're picking your graphic. This is where you're getting a theme to the event, the colors maybe, and your hashtag. Never forget that every event should also have a hashtag. Why? Because that's the yellow pages of the world today. If you want to know if people took pictures at your event and you don't have a hashtag, how are you going to find it? Create one and promote it months in advance. You also need 1 full month to implement a schedule. So now you spend a month being creative and you create and you're like, yeah, I like this. We're going to use blue. We're going to have this. This is going to be our hashtag. Now you have to make a schedule. You have to determine what has to be done when, who has to do this. That takes about a month. Unless you're doing it all yourself and you don't have anything else to do, it's going to take you time. You also need 1 month to actually start that action plan, to delegate and say, okay, now we're done creating and we're done making the schedule. You do this, you do this, you do that. You're going to focus on this for the next 3 months, right? It takes time to do that. You need time to build your email list. You need time to build a list of people. You can't just throw money at advertising and expect there to be 100 people show up. You have to really give this thought. You have to look at what you already have and begin to develop that process, right? So I have clients that write books and they do book launches. If they don't start 6 months in advance, how are you going to, you're just creating everything. You need to start building a list. You need to build excitement for this event that's happening. And you need time to create your posts. All of that can be done in advance. If you know what your graphic is, you know who's going to be there, you know the colors and the theme, you know what's happening. You might not know all the specific details, but you can get most of the stuff pre-done in advance. You're formulating and executing a marketing plan. That's why you start so far in advance. 3 months before is when an event really takes off. And you know, I said 3, not 2, not 1. This is the time when everything begins to happen, right? 8 weeks before an event, you're sending out your intros. Hey, reminder, this is coming, right? You're posting, you're getting your events on Eventbrite, you got them on Facebook. You've already created all the stuff. You're not creating and doing all at the same time. This is stuff that should have been done in advance so that you're just launching and you're introducing. We're very busy nowadays. We need a long time to prepare. 7 weeks before, you're drafting, editing, and scheduling. You're still writing. Maybe you're doing your blogs, you're writing your newsletters. You're sort of deciding this is what's going to go out. And you know weeks and weeks in advance, right? You have a schedule. 6 weeks, you're monitoring that list. Is it growing? How many people have already committed to come? Maybe we need to add someone. Maybe we need to do something on Twitter because we're not doing something on Twitter. If you do this enough weeks in advance, you can assure real success. 5 weeks, now you're engaging your audience. You're reminding them. Some people are commenting and liking and asking questions. You're doing your frequently asked questions and, hey, I'm thinking to come, but can I bring my kids? And what if this happens? And, do I get my money back? People want to know what's going to happen when we have time to think about it. And we don't always have time to think about it a few days before. Sometimes it's 5 weeks in advance. 4 weeks is when you really send out the official email invites. You've already got a social presence. You've already been talking about it. You've already been including people. This is when really things happen. And unfortunately, this is when most people start to do their event. They think, It's in 4 weeks. Let's do this and this and this and this. And they're still dealing with printers and they're still dealing with this. And the graphic person didn't get back to them. And they found out there's a spelling error in something. You can't do that at 4 weeks. 3 weeks, you're doing your direct mail. You're dropping things in the mail. That might not be to everybody, but it should be to your top 20% of your customers. Your top 20% generate 80% of your income. You check it. It's pretty true. Those are the people that get something physical in the mail. But you can't do that just 3 weeks in advance. Somebody had to create it. Somebody had to design it. Somebody had to print it. Somebody had to go to the post office and get the stamps. You had to do the addresses. Are you going to do them on stickers or not? Or is somebody going to handwrite it? All that stuff should be done weeks and weeks before. 2 weeks are your personal touches. So this might be, you're going to call your best customers and you're going to say, hey, we send out the invitations. I just wanted to personally call and invite you to this event. And then 1 week before, you're doing your final calls. You're looking at your list and you're saying, Louise always comes. I got to call her. You're doing personal invitations. Maybe it's through email, maybe it's through a phone call, whatever it is, depending on the relationship you have with that person, you're doing these personal invites. And by the way, this can include media. Media, you got to invite them way back. 8 weeks before. 3 days before, you're confirming, right? You're looking at the list, you're separating it, you're organizing it. Because after the event, you're going to want to know who came and who didn't come. And as this stuff comes in, you can be sifting and separating and sifting and separating. It's very important that you do that. And then your final confirmations come in. Now you're ready. I mean, it is or it isn't. But you can be posting things to get people to want to come. You cannot possibly accomplish this list and the prior list if you're still picking your graphics, if you're coordinating with printers, your committee members, somebody had a baby, this person's kids started school, her dad got sick. You have to do this well in advance. Media needs to know well in advance because they are already pre-committed. Sometimes football teams, I know because I've interacted with them, they're a year in advance. If you have an annual event and you know that it's going to be next January, you should be reaching out to people, right? So for events, the fortune is in the follow-up. So assuming you did everything on that list, this is where most people really do fall flat on their face. And they'll say to me, I did everything you said, and it wasn't that successful. Well, it wasn't successful because usually what happens is the event is over and people are like, it's so done, I'm going to take a vacation now. This is when you really work. Why? Because you've got to post all the images online. You're thanking speakers and guests publicly via email, maybe in writing. You're doing all of this work. You're reaching out to every single person that attended and you're thanking them. And you're reaching out to every single person that said they were going to attend that didn't attend. And you're reaching out to them. And you're reaching out to all the people who didn't even respond. And you're letting them know what a great event that was that they missed. Reminiscing is the greatest part of follow-up. It's weeks after an event. It can be Throwback Thursday. 3 weeks ago we were doing this. I wish we were doing it now. You're reminding people what a great time they had. You're thanking them. You're being genuine to let them know. You're reviewing everything. You're going in and trying to find those hashtags, and you're sharing and resharing information that people find interesting. There's nothing greater than to have someone else share your photo, to talk about you. This is all in the follow-up part. You're thanking and thanking and thanking people, and you're planning immediately from the day of the end. Now you're planning the next event. All of the things in follow-up are where you get your new clients. They're where you put them in that funnel. So maybe they attended, they're not really ready for you, but you're going to make a plan to follow up with them and get them to the next event. And that's what you say. I really want you to come next year. What did you like about it? You're establishing that relationship. So for events, this is the most important thing. What not to do. quick list. Don't do the same old thing. Make sure that every event is something new and exciting. Even in an annual event, I hate it when I see the same graphic from last year, the same looking stuff. It's the same. Why should I attend if it's the same? And you can't leave out social media, and it does take time. Social media, yes, it's free, air quoting that. Somebody has to do it. You have to have a budget for it. You have to plan for it. So if you're planning your events 6 months in advance, you can allow for money to pay somebody to do it so you don't have to do it. But it's got to get going at least 8 weeks in advance. And you cannot wing an event. Over and over again, I see this time and time again. This is where you step on people's toes, people get mad, there's a lot of problems. You need to make sure that you have a plan and that you follow that plan. Because if you have a plan, you don't deviate from it, right? And you never assume. You have to know that you have adequate people to be there. Who's going to take the pictures at your big event? I see that all the time. I'll be like, hey, send me the pictures from the event. Oh, yeah, I didn't have time. You have to plan that. You can't assume that people are going to do it. You can't assume that they're going to see your hashtag somewhere. That sign needs to be everywhere. You need to be walking around saying, hey, if you post that picture, use this hashtag. You have to have it all written out and prepared. And the number one don't is don't procrastinate. You have to empower people to make decisions. And this is why most people procrastinate on it. I will ask people, send me this, do this. And it'll take them 24, 40, sometimes 24 hours is too late because they don't know if they can do it. That's the problem. So if you have a plan, you have your mission, everybody knows what you're all on the same page, why can't you empower people to make decisions, right? All of that needs to be included. So even for a very simple plan, it needs to go out that way. So, reflection. For those of you that are new, this is a critical part of training because now we have to think about all this information we just talked about. How can you think out of the box, do something different, and engage your customers with events? Because if you do it, your 2019 will be very different than your 2018. You could do 1, 2, 4 events. I don't know how many, but you have to really think about it. Take the weekend and imagine, look, do a little research online and see what other people in your industry are doing and say, could we do that? What audience would we be connecting with? How would this help us? So next week, I'm not going to go back into events, but I'm going to talk about something that could be an event for all of you, which is Giving Tuesday. Okay, Giving Tuesday is between Black Friday after Cyber Monday. It's a huge retail weekend, but every one of you should turn this into an event in your business. So I am going to be reiterating a lot of the things that we talked about, and I'm going to be giving ideas for this, and I'm going to be talking about why it's so important, because it is critically important that you do it. Weekly questions. How many new emails did you add to your list? This is important. If you have a growing list and you want to do an event, boom, you've already got people coming. What were your total sales? What are you going to spotlight? What are you going to talk about? Employees, knowing what's happening. Include your employees on these events too. How many new fans did you add this week? Every new fan that you add has the potential of 300 people they can expose your materials to, because you need to know what they like in your posting. It's important. Who's your most engaged follower? This is somebody that's going to promote this event for you, but you can't go to them at the last minute. They have to know that you appreciate what they're doing for you, because that's how you improve your customer service. Doing an event is considered customer service, especially if it's an educating event. Sometimes it's just a happy event, right? So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to be mindful of your time. I went way over last week. And if you have any questions, just shoot me an email and I will hear you next week. Thanks a lot.